Life, at its core, is not bound by the gravity we so often assign to it. Look at the natural world, the clouds drifting lazily across the sky, the rivers winding their unpredictable paths, the birds singing for no particular reason other than the joy of it. They carry no weight of purpose or seriousness. There's no solemn declaration that they must fulfill some grand destiny. They simply are. But somewhere along the way, humans created a framework. We started assigning significance to every action, every choice, every moment. We built institutions and rituals designed to impose order and meaning. And while these things have their place, they often obscure the simple truth life doesn't come with an instruction manual or a set of fixed rules. Consider this: the sun rises and sets without ceremony. The stars shine without waiting for applause. Even our most profound experiences, the birth of a child, the beauty of a sunset, the laughter of a friend, happen without the need for justification. These moments are not serious in the way we think of seriousness. They simply unfold effortlessly and naturally. The seriousness we impose on life is a human invention, a lens through which we attempt to make sense of the unknown. But in doing so, we risk missing the spontaneity, the unpredictability, and the sheer playfulness that life offers. We mistake our own constructs for reality, forgetting that the essence of life is not bound by these constructs at all. When we pause and truly observe, we begin to see that life flows much more like a dance than a carefully plotted path. It's not meant to be rigid or constrained by rules of significance. It is light, fluid, and free, if only we allow ourselves to experience it that way. From the moment we're born, society begins to weave its web of structure around us. It teaches us how to walk, talk, and behave within a framework of rules and expectations. There's a script to follow, a timeline of milestones that dictate when we should go to school, get a job, marry, and retire. These structures give life a sense of order, a rhythm that feels familiar and comforting. Yet, as helpful as these constructs can be, they are not the ultimate truth of life. They are tools crafted by humanity to navigate the complexity of existence, but they are not life itself. Schedules tell us how to organize our time, but they cannot dictate how time feels. Rules help maintain harmony within communities, but they often restrict the wild, creative impulses that define our individuality. Even the simplest rituals, like the 9-to-5 workday or the annual holiday traditions, reinforce the idea that life must fit neatly within preordained boundaries. We're taught to measure success by these structures: grades in school, promotions at work, the size of a house or bank account. But these measurements are arbitrary markers, not universal truths. This imposed structure can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it provides stability, offering a sense of predictability in an unpredictable world. On the other, it can become a cage, limiting the scope of our imagination and our ability to see beyond what is expected of us. The structures of society are not inherently bad, but they are incomplete. They leave out the serendipity, the chaos, and the freedom that are equally essential to life. The problem arises when we mistake these constructs for reality itself. When we believe the structure is the purpose, we begin to live in service of the system, rather than using the system as a tool to enhance our lives. It's easy to forget that these frameworks were invented by humans and therefore can be reimagined, reshaped, or even discarded when they no longer serve us. If we can step back and see these structures for what they truly are, a human-made map of a territory far more vast and complex, we can begin to navigate life with a sense of playfulness and curiosity rather than obligation. Society's structure is only one way to perceive and engage with the world, and recognizing its limits allows us to explore the infinite possibilities that lie beyond. Life, in its purest form, is playful. It doesn't unfold with strict plans or heavy intentions, but flows with spontaneity and creative expression. Think of the way children approach the world. They explore without fear, experiment without shame, and immerse themselves fully in the joy of the moment. A cardboard box can transform into a spaceship, a pile of leaves into a castle, all because they intuitively grasp something we tend to forget. Life is not about the destination, it's about the play. This playful essence is woven into the fabric of existence. Look at the way kittens chase their tails, dolphins leap through waves, or birds perform aerial dances in the sky. These creatures are not striving to achieve something monumental. They are simply engaging with the joy of being alive, responding to the rhythms and opportunities that each moment brings. Even the natural world seems to revel in its own creativity. Rivers don't follow straight lines, they meander and twist, as if delighting in their own unpredictability. Clouds shift and morph into fantastical shapes, painting the sky with fleeting art that needs no audience. The wind teases the leaves, sending them swirling in chaotic patterns that are beautiful precisely because they are unplanned. But somewhere along the way, humans tend to forget this inherent playfulness. We become burdened by the weight of seriousness, by the belief that everything we do must have a purpose, a result, or a justification. We turn life into a task to be completed, rather than an experience to be savored. The irony is that even our most serious endeavors often have their roots in play. Scientific discoveries begin with curiosity. Great works of art emerge from the willingness to experiment. Even our relationships thrive not when they are treated as obligations, but when we approach them with lightheartedness and joy. To reconnect with life's playful essence is not to abandon responsibility or purpose, but to remember that these things can coexist with joy. It means allowing yourself to laugh at the unexpected, to find wonder in the mundane, and to approach challenges with the same spirit of curiosity you had as a child. Life's playfulness is not something you have to search for. It's always there, waiting for you to notice it. It's in the giggle of a child, the splash of a raindrop, the rustle of leaves in the breeze. It's an invitation to let go of your seriousness, even for a moment, and dance with the unpredictable rhythms of existence. Childlike wonder is the lens through which life's magic reveals itself. Children approach the world with a fresh pair of eyes, unclouded by preconceptions or the weight of experience. To a child, everything is extraordinary. A puddle becomes an ocean to explore. A butterfly is a miracle in motion. And even the stars in the night sky feel close enough to touch. This sense of wonder transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, turning each moment into an adventure. As adults, we often lose this ability. Familiarity breeds complacency, and we stop noticing the marvels that surround us. A sunrise becomes just another start to the day. A flower becomes a detail too small to matter. The laughter of strangers fades into the background noise of a busy world. But children remind us that these moments, when truly seen, are breathtaking. Wonder is not about ignorance, it's about curiosity. It's the willingness to ask questions without demanding immediate answers. Why is the sky blue? How do birds know where to fly? Where does the wind come from? These aren't just childish questions, they are profound invitations to engage with life's mysteries. To reclaim this wonder, one must let go of the need to categorize, explain, and control everything. Children don't seek to master the world, they revel in its unpredictability. They aren't concerned with whether their games have a point, only that they bring joy. This openness allows them to experience life fully, without filters or hesitation. Wonder also has a way of connecting us to the present moment. When you watch a child gaze at a snowflake melting on their fingertip, you can see that they are entirely absorbed in that tiny, fleeting miracle. They are not distracted by worries about the past or plans for the future. In that moment, the world is enough. Adults often feel burdened by the demands of responsibility, but the truth is, wonder and responsibility are not mutually exclusive. You can marvel at the intricacy of a task while still completing it. You can find joy in the smallest details, even in the midst of challenges. Wonder doesn't ask you to abandon your adult life, it asks you to enhance it by seeing the world with fresh eyes. Rediscovering childlike wonder is not about becoming childish, but embracing a spirit of play, curiosity, and presence. It's about remembering that life, at its core, is not a series of problems to solve, but a mystery to explore. And within that exploration lies a joy that is always available, waiting for you to notice it again. We create so much unnecessary pressure for ourselves, often without realizing it. From an early age, we are taught to measure our worth by external standards, grades in school, success in a career, the opinions of others. We begin to believe that life is a series of hurdles to clear, and the more hurdles we overcome, the more valuable we become. This belief creates an invisible weight that we carry through life, always striving, always pushing, always fearing that we aren't enough. The pressure comes from the stories we tell ourselves. We set arbitrary benchmarks by this age. We should have achieved this by that age. We should be there. We compare ourselves relentlessly, believing that someone else's progress diminishes our own. The irony is that the benchmarks we stress over are often self-imposed or shaped by societal norms that don't truly reflect who we are or what we value. Much of this pressure stems from a deep-seated fear of failure. We're taught to see failure as a sign of inadequacy rather than as a natural part of growth. We internalize the idea that mistakes are something to avoid at all costs, rather than opportunities to learn and evolve. This fear keeps us in a constant state of tension, afraid to take risks, afraid to explore, afraid to simply be. We also create pressure by clinging to the illusion of control. We want everything to go according to plan, as if life could be neatly organized into predictable outcomes. But life, by its very nature, is unpredictable. It doesn't follow the scripts we write for it, and when things deviate from our expectations, we feel as though we've failed. In truth, the pressure we feel in these moments is not a reflection of life's demands, but of our refusal to adapt and flow with its unpredictability. Even in our pursuit of happiness, we create pressure. We tell ourselves we must always be productive, always achieving, always moving forward. We turn rest into laziness, leisure into guilt, and joy into something to earn rather than something to experience. This constant striving often blinds us to the simple, beautiful moments that are available to us right now. The unnecessary pressure we create is a trap of our own making. It keeps us chasing a mirage of perfection, never allowing us to feel satisfied with where we are or who we are. But if we can step back and see this pressure for what it is, a construct, not a necessity, we can begin to let go of it. Life does not demand perfection or unrelenting effort. It simply asks us to participate, to experience, and to grow. The weight we feel is not life's burden, but our own expectations, and in letting go of those expectations, we can rediscover the lightness and freedom that were always there, waiting for us to notice. The universe is vast, mysterious, and perhaps most importantly, indifferent to our notions of success, failure, fairness, or meaning. It operates on a scale far beyond human comprehension, following its own rhythms and patterns, unaffected by our desires or expectations. The sun rises and sets without concern for our plans, the stars burn brilliantly without waiting for our approval, and the seasons change regardless of whether we're ready for them. This indifference can be unsettling at first. We like to believe we are the center of the story, that the universe conspires for or against us. When things go well, we imagine it's a reward for our efforts, and when they go wrong, we feel singled out, as if the cosmos has chosen us for hardship. But the truth is, the universe doesn't play favorites. It simply is. Consider the natural forces at work around us. A storm doesn't form to inconvenience our picnic, and a drought doesn't persist to punish us. These events occur as part of a complex, interwoven system of cause and effect, entirely detached from human concerns. The universe doesn't adjust itself to align with our ideas of what's fair, or just it continues to unfold in its own way, impartial and unstoppable. This indifference is not cold or cruel, it is freeing. It means that the pressure we feel to control everything, to ensure every outcome aligns with our expectations, is unnecessary. The universe doesn't demand perfection from us. It doesn't judge our mistakes or celebrate our victories. It simply provides the stage upon which we live our lives, offering endless possibilities without insisting on a particular path. Even the most extraordinary phenomena, supernovas, black holes, the birth of galaxies, happen without the need for acknowledgement or recognition. These events are awe-inspiring not because they happen for a reason, but because they happen at all. And the same is true for our lives. We are not here to fulfill some cosmic requirement or prove ourselves worthy. We are here to experience, to explore, and to exist within this vast, indifferent mystery. The universe's indifference also reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles. The challenges we face are not unique punishments, but part of the shared experience of being alive. Just as the universe doesn't conspire against us, it doesn't conspire against anyone else either. This realization can be comforting. It allows us to see our difficulties as natural, not personal. When we let go of the belief that the universe owes us something, we can begin to appreciate its indifference for what it truly is, a profound neutrality that allows us the freedom to define our own meaning, our own purpose. The universe doesn't dictate how we should live, it simply provides the space for us to live. And within that space lies infinite potential waiting for us to embrace it. Laughter is a release, a moment of freedom that cuts through the layers of tension we often accumulate in our daily lives. It's like a sudden breath of fresh air, clearing away the fog of worries and anxieties, if only for a moment. When we laugh, we momentarily let go of the burdens we carry, whether it's the weight of expectations, the fear of judgment, or the pressure to be something we're not. In that split second, we stop taking everything so seriously, and in doing so, we reconnect with something deeply human and profoundly simple, the joy of being alive. Laughter transcends the barriers that usually separate us from others. It's a universal language that needs no translation, no explanation. Whether it's a shared joke between friends or a spontaneous outburst in a crowded room, laughter draws us together. It reminds us that, despite our differences, we all share the same basic human experience. And when we laugh, we are reminded of our shared vulnerability, our shared imperfections, and, perhaps most importantly, our shared humanity. In this way, laughter can be deeply liberating. It releases us from the mental prison of overthinking and self-doubt. We often become so wrapped up in our concerns and fears that we forget how to simply be. Laughter forces us into the present moment. It's almost impossible to laugh and worry at the same time. The act of laughing brings us into a space where everything else falls away, where the future and past are momentarily forgotten, and we exist only in the now. Moreover, laughter allows us to embrace the absurdity of life. It's an acknowledgement that, yes, things may be difficult, but they are also unpredictable and often downright silly. The more we laugh at the unpredictable nature of our existence, the less we are bound by it. We stop trying to control every outcome and instead start enjoying the ride. Laughter reminds us that it's okay to not have all the answers, that we don't need to have everything figured out to find joy. In fact, often the most freeing moments come when we simply accept the chaos and laugh in its face. Laughter is also a form of release for the body. When we laugh, it doesn't just relieve our minds, it physically loosens us up. Tension in the body melts away, and a sense of relaxation floods through us. It's a reminder that our bodies and minds are not separate, but deeply intertwined. Just as stress can manifest physically, so too can laughter loosen the grip that tension has on our physical being. Perhaps most beautifully, laughter has the power to transform. It takes us from a state of heaviness to one of lightness. Even in the midst of hardship, laughter can be a beacon, a signal that we are not defined by our struggles. It allows us to see the humor in difficult situations and encourages us to take them less personally. The act of laughing in the face of adversity is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a declaration that no matter what life throws our way, we can still find moments of joy. At its core, laughter is a reminder that we don't have to be so hard on ourselves. It teaches us that we can find lightness in the darkest of times, and that the best way to navigate the unpredictability of life is with a sense of humor. Through laughter, we reclaim our power to live freely, to experience life's absurdities with grace, and to be at ease with ourselves, imperfections and all. To embrace impermanence is to accept that change is the very essence of life, not something to fear or resist. Every moment, every thought, every experience we have is in constant flux. We may cling to the idea of permanence, hoping that things will remain fixed, stable, and predictable. But life simply does not work that way. Seasons change, people grow, feelings shift, and circumstances evolve. When we try to hold on to things as if they should never change, we create unnecessary suffering, fighting against the flow of life rather than flowing with it. Understanding that impermanence is not just a fact, but a beauty, can radically shift the way we live. We don't have to try to freeze time or trap moments in amber. The very fleeting nature of our experiences gives them value. It's the temporality of things that makes them precious. A sunset is beautiful not because it will last forever, but because it will fade. A conversation with a loved one is meaningful because it's a shared moment that can never be repeated exactly the same. If everything were permanent, nothing would have the same sense of urgency or importance. To embrace impermanence is to let go of the need for control. We cannot predict the future, nor can we fully control the present. But in releasing our grasp on what we cannot hold, we make room for the spontaneity and wonder of life. The fear of change often arises from the illusion that we can somehow stop it, or that if something changes, we will lose something essential. But change is not loss, it is simply evolution. When we accept impermanence, we become more present. We recognize that this moment right now is the only one we have. When we stop waiting for something better to come along, we can savor the simple beauty of what is happening in front of us. The sound of the rain, the texture of a favorite book, the warmth of a hug, these fleeting experiences are what make life rich and meaningful. Embracing impermanence also teaches us how to let go. We become less attached to the past, less fixated on outcomes, and more accepting of the natural cycles of life. We let go of relationships that no longer serve us, of identities that are no longer aligned with who we are, of things that hold us back. Each letting go opens space for something new, something that wouldn't be possible without the change that preceded it. This embrace of impermanence is not about resignation. It's not about giving up or becoming passive. Rather, it's about a deep acceptance that life is ever-changing, and that this is not only natural, but vital. The process of birth and death, creation and destruction, is an ongoing cycle, each part of the dance of existence. Without one, the other cannot exist. Impermanence is what makes the universe dynamic, vibrant, and full of endless possibility. When we open ourselves to this truth, we free ourselves from the burdens of attachment, expectation, and regret. We begin to see the beauty in every passing moment, the magic in every fleeting encounter. Rather than wishing time would slow down or hold still, we can start living with a sense of urgency, not out of fear, but out of appreciation for the preciousness of each moment. Embracing impermanence allows us to live more fully, more freely, and with more joy. Life is full of contradictions, and it is within these contradictions that its true beauty lies. We often approach life as though it's a problem to be solved, something to fix, a puzzle that requires a solution. We believe that if we just understand the right formula or the perfect way to behave, we'll finally find peace. But the reality is that life isn't a problem at all. It's a paradox, a collection of opposing forces that coexist without needing to be reconciled. Take, for example, the tension between control and surrender. We are constantly trying to control our circumstances, shape our futures, and direct our lives in specific ways. Yet, no matter how hard we try, we cannot control everything. Life moves in unpredictable directions, and the more we try to grip it tightly, the more it seems to slip through our fingers. The paradox is that by surrendering, by allowing things to unfold, without trying to direct every detail, we often find a deeper sense of peace and flow. Control, when overdone, brings anxiety. Surrender, when embraced, brings freedom. Similarly, life is both fleeting and eternal. We are aware of the impermanence of everything, the way things come and go, the inevitability of change, the constant passage of time. Yet within that fleeting nature, we find moments that feel timeless. A smile from a friend, the quiet beauty of a sunset, the feeling of connection to something greater than ourselves. These moments, while short-lived, are profound and transcendent. The paradox is that something as ephemeral as a moment can hold a depth that feels eternal, and yet its impermanence is what makes it precious. Another paradox lies in our search for meaning. We often think that life needs to have a singular purpose, a grand reason for existing. We feel lost when we can't define it, as if we're failing to understand the point. But life is both meaningful and meaningless at the same time. The search for meaning itself is part of the meaning. Itself is part of the meaning. It's in the questioning, the seeking, and the experience of life that we find richness, not in some final, absolute answer. The paradox is that in letting go of the need for definitive answers, we embrace the freedom of experiencing life as it is. We also live with the paradox of joy and suffering. They seem to be opposites, yet they often arise from the same circumstances. In our deepest pain, we sometimes uncover unexpected joy. In our most joyful moments, we find a touch of sorrow. We can't truly understand one without experiencing the other. Both joy and suffering are woven into the fabric of existence, and by embracing both, we open ourselves to the full spectrum of human experience. The paradox is that the more we accept the inevitability of suffering, the more we find space for authentic joy. The paradox of life extends to our identities as well. We are constantly shifting between different roles: parent, friend, worker, lover, each one demanding a different part of ourselves. And yet, at our core, we are all just individuals, complex and multifaceted, often contradictory. We may feel at odds with who we are, questioning which version of ourselves is the real one. But the paradox is that we are all of these things, none of them more or less real than the others. We don't need to pick one identity to cling to. We can be multiple things at once, and it's in this fluidity that we discover who we truly are. Life asks us to embrace these contradictions, not to resolve them, but to live with them. We don't need to solve the paradoxes because they aren't problems to be fixed. They are the heart of the human experience, where growth, meaning, and understanding arise not from finding answers, but from living fully within the questions. Life is not a problem, it is a mystery full of opposing forces that come together in a dance of balance. The more we stop trying to solve it and instead embrace its paradoxes, the more we come to understand that the contradictions are what make life rich, complex, and deeply alive. Letting go of control is one of the most liberating acts we can engage in. From the moment we are born, we are conditioned to believe that if we try hard enough, we can shape our lives exactly as we want. We are taught to plan, to strive, to take charge of our futures. There's a sense of security in feeling in control after all. It's natural to want to feel as if we are steering our own ship through life's unpredictable waters. Yet the paradox is that the more we cling to this illusion of control, the more we often find ourselves trapped in frustration and exhaustion. Life doesn't bend to our will as easily as we might hope, and trying to control everything only leads to a sense of burnout, stress, and anxiety. When we let go of the need to control, we open ourselves up to a deeper, more fluid way of living. Instead of constantly resisting the flow of life, we begin to allow things to unfold as they will, knowing that we can't dictate every outcome, nor should we try. This doesn't mean abandoning responsibility or giving up on goals, but rather recognizing that we are not in charge of everything. There are countless factors outside of our control: the actions of others, the winds of fate, the timing of events. In accepting this, we release the pressure we place on ourselves to have everything go according to plan, and we allow space for life's natural unfolding. Letting go of control also means embracing uncertainty. Life is inherently unpredictable, and the more we try to predict every detail, the more we set ourselves up for disappointment. There is beauty in uncertainty. It's in the unknown that we find the potential for growth, discovery, and unexpected joy. Every new experience, every twist in our path, offers a chance to learn something we didn't anticipate. By letting go of rigid expectations, we make room for spontaneity and creativity. We begin to appreciate the surprises, the detours, and the moments that come when we least expect them. Another aspect of letting go of control is accepting that things won't always go the way we want them to. And that's okay. Life isn't about getting everything right or achieving perfection. Mistakes, failures, and setbacks are part of the process. They are the fertile ground in which we grow. When we stop trying to control every outcome, we stop seeing failure as something catastrophic. Instead, we start viewing it as a valuable lesson, an opportunity to adapt, learn, and improve. Letting go of control means we stop fearing mistakes and start embracing them as essential steps on the path toward personal growth. There is also a sense of peace that comes with relinquishing control. We are constantly bombarded by the idea that we must manage our lives with precision and exactness, that if we don't have everything planned, we are somehow failing. But by giving ourselves permission to release this constant effort to control, we free ourselves from that mental and emotional strain. We stop fighting against the present moment and accept things as they are. This doesn't mean becoming passive, but rather embracing the flow of life and taking action when necessary, without the need for every step to be planned out. When we let go of control, we start to trust in the natural unfolding of things. We begin to trust ourselves more, knowing that we are capable of adapting to whatever comes our way. We trust others, too, allowing them to contribute to our lives in ways we might have resisted when we were too focused on controlling outcomes. In letting go, we develop a deeper sense of connection to the world around us, to the people we interact with, and to the experiences we encounter. Ultimately, letting go of control allows us to experience life more fully. It opens us to the possibility of joy, discovery, and connection in ways that would never happen if we remain tightly wrapped in our attempts to dictate every aspect of our existence. Life is not meant to be controlled, it is meant to be lived. And in living it with a sense of openness, acceptance, and flexibility, we find the freedom that we have been searching for all along. In the end, life is a delicate dance between control and surrender, certainty and uncertainty, joy and suffering. By embracing impermanence, letting go of the need for control, and allowing ourselves to experience the paradoxes of existence, we open ourselves to a deeper understanding of life's true nature. We don't need to have all the answers, nor do we need to force every outcome to fit our expectations. Instead, by letting go of rigid plans, we make space for spontaneity, growth, and unexpected beauty. Life, in all its unpredictability, becomes not something to fear or control, but something to experience with openness and grace. In embracing the flow of life, we find the freedom to truly live.